The brick era. You've definitely seen these prehistoric handsets in old movies about Wall Street brokers. A massive block, a giant antenna, and a hefty weight. You know, they cost as much as a used car and served as a symbol of extreme wealth. But here's what you probably didn't realize. These devices were so bulky that engineers had to rely on wild technical workarounds. For instance, if you bought a prestigious car phone, only a neat corded handset was installed in the cabin, the actual brain of the device. A massive transceiver weighing several kilograms was permanently mounted inside your car's trunk. Meanwhile, the portable alternative, the legendary Motorola Dynatac 8000X, weighed a full kilogram. Talking on it for more than 20 minutes was a legitimate bicep workout, and the battery life drained right before your eyes. It was a true monument of its time that kick-started global mobile communication, the feature phone and miniaturization era. You surely remember that irreplaceable feeling of blindly typing an SMS under your school desk or frantically hanging up before a call charged you. You know this era well. The indestructible Nokia 3310, screeching polyphonic ringtones, and endless attempts to catch expensive WAP internet. But remember what a spectacular time it was for industrial design. Manufacturers had no idea what an ideal gadget should look like, so they experimented wildly. You could choose a sleek candy bar, a futuristic slider, or an elegant flip phone. Interestingly, the phenomenal success of the iconic Motorola RAZR V3 relied not just on its unbelievable thinness, but on pure psychology. It was the only form factor in history that allowed you to dramatically and satisfyingly slam the phone shut with a crisp click to cut off an annoying conversation. Modern flat touchscreens have robbed us of this therapeutic pleasure entirely. Early smartphones and business devices. In the mid-2000s, mobile phones suddenly grew up, put on business suits, and turned into pocket computers for serious professionals. You likely remember those sophisticated BlackBerry devices, forever associated with executives corporate emailing on tiny yet surprisingly comfortable QWERTY keyboards. But have you ever stopped to think about how the first true touchscreens on PDAs like the Sony Ericsson P900 actually functioned? If you use them, you remember the constant need to pull out that special plastic stick, the stylus. The thing is, those displays were resistive. They didn't react to the light tap of your finger, but to actual physical pressure. You had to literally press down the top plastic layer to connect the circuits underneath. Operating Windows, mobile, or Symbian without a stylus or long fingernails was absolute torture, requiring the patience of a programmer. It was an era when technology demanded real effort. The multi-touch and ecosystem revolution. Steve Jobs takes the stage, removes all buttons with a flick of his wrist, and introduces the first iPhone. You know, this turning point by heart, the world was instantly conquered by multi-touch fever, App Store and Google Play emerged, and our thumbs began adapting to infinite scrolling. However, behind this triumph hid a colossal panic across the entire industry. Phone manufacturers were terrified that conservative users would completely refuse to type on smooth, cold glass without tactile feedback. Because of this fear, unique transitional Frankensteins were born. Take the HTC Dream, the world's very first commercial Android smartphone. Developers didn't dare make it a simple slab. They hid a slide-out physical keyboard right under the touch display. It was a safety blanket for frightened buyers who didn't yet trust a digital-only future. Technology was carefully testing the waters, the phablet era and content dominance. Before you knew it, your phone screens crossed the psychological threshold of 5 and then 6 inches. You vividly remember the grueling battle for bezel-less displays. First, the notorious notch on the iPhone X annoyed us. Then we adjusted to teardrop cutouts and circular holes punched right into the screen while wondering why we suddenly needed 3 or 4 rear cameras. But do you realize how deeply our habits shifted? To justify these gargantuan device sizes that no longer fit in a single hand, marketers had to invent the ridiculous term phablet, a hybrid of phone and tablet. We voluntarily started carrying portable televisions in our pockets just to endlessly stream YouTube clips and scroll social media feeds. The phone stopped being a mere communication tool, becoming a personal window for content consumption that completely re-engineered the anatomy of our pockets. The modern era, foldable screens, and AI. Welcome to the present day, where mobile evolution has taken a wonderfully ironic turn. Every day, you see these technological marvels. Foldable smartphones in fold and flip formats bending right down the middle, and smart devices driven by advanced artificial intelligence. Look closer, though. We returned to flip phones not out of style, but out of sheer desperation. Screens became so massive that folding them in half is the only way to shove the gadget into a jeans pocket. Meanwhile, traditional slab designs hit an absolute ceiling. They all look identical. That's why today's main revolution has become completely invisible. Manufacturers can no longer surprise us with chassis shapes, so they embed AI, like in the Samsung Galaxy S24 or Google Pixel. Neural networks rewrite our texts and translate calls on the fly, trying to reinvent the very experience of using a phone.